Cities like this are everywhere. Cookie-cutter places with shiny coating. People live here in their little worlds. Everyone outside of that are shadow people, bit parts. You may see them every day, but if they vanish, you would never really notice. They were never real anyway. Faceless human decorations bumping into each other for a moment before being forgotten. That's why I love it. That is why I moved here. Eventually, the police will ask my neighbours about me. They'll say the normal bullshit about me. Quiet, polite, kept to myself. They would have no idea the colour of my eyes. If I had a family. If I had friends. Hell, most wouldn't even know my name, and the few that could, we don't remember it properly. The apartment would run out before the ink would even dry on the ad. Washing in the small plain bathroom, water running red around my feet, thinking about my plans. The busy suited day, making way for the neon-sorted nights in the nameless city. Wiping the foggy mirror, showing my wide eyes and my long red hair, moulded and shined, an unforgettable icing on a pretty attractive, forgettable face. Collecting my items up, clothes and papers, put them in the walk-in wardrobe on the other side of the room, with my dressing table sitting carelessly in between. My room was a chaotic storage space, organised just so that only I would understand. A cheap old single room over a convenience store on a busy side street in the centre of the city. Grabbing a glass of water, I take a sip as I eye today's newspaper. Another woman found dead, raped and beaten, with little to go on. Sighing, a nameless and soon-to-be-forgotten woman. I folded the paper and placed it on the dressing table. That was 7 women murdered the same way in a matter of months, becoming more and more frequent. All the same MO, average, pretty, passing through, red hair. Sitting at the dressing table, I reached for my fire engine red lipstick called Lust that had rolled into a corner. I looked into my eyes and began to paint and shine myself to go on the town. An hour-ish later, I stepped out of my silent apartment and onto the noisy street. It had started to lightly rain. Walking down the steps and onto the sidewalk, I was ready. The aggressive city song played in my ears as the lights of the sky dimmed and the bright, assaulting light of the neons danced in the raindrops. Smells, sounds, shoulders bumped, cars zoomed, all the magic of the city. I could vanish on the spot and no one would see. They were caught up in their bite-sized corners. Passing restaurants and adult shops, I turned down a side street. Pedestrians thinned, the lights softened, small cafes and niche bars. Muffled voices of strangers passing me as I walked through, till I can see my destination. I would tell you the name, but that would help you pinpoint this unnamed circle of heaven and hell, so I shall not. Let's just say it was short and clever, and bringing a hidden smile to most faces. The door was curtained by a burly security guard, checking IDs, and the red lights beckoned from below. The jazz tune whispered tendrils flirting with me as I showed my ID card, and smiled, and then entered. Down the red steps into the bowels of 1920s elegance, all reds and greys, lusts and life, it was all down here. I chose my seat, off to the side but still centre, wanting to be seen and desired, but not to be too easy about it. I ordered them a loaf from a winery known in the area. It was lovely. Ordered enough, but still showed knowledge. A nameless drop. The musicians crooned and seduced the patients, and I watched on as if in a dream, half an eye focused on the small crowd. At close to 11 p.m, we came through the door with an air of power and sex. Saying hi to people and shaking hands, kissing cheeks, or collecting his scotch and surveying the room. Still seeming to be in a world of smoke, wine and jazz, I paid no obvious attention to him. I let his eyes find me, and I allowed myself a small smile. 10 minutes later, he had sauntered over, bought me a drink without direction, and was sitting with me playing with his hand. Floaty and focused, he drew me in, making me feel like the world had fallen away for him, and only I remained. His fingers found mine in a strong yet tender touch that did make my heart and my pussy flutter. Conversations and drinks flowed under the warm, billowing cover of jazz. The seduction was done before it began. Closing time came, and he suggested a nearby bar that, although it did not have the same ambience, was as close as could be, and wasn't closed. Nodding in agreement, we collected our items, paying the bill, his hand on the small of my back leading me out. The walkway was quiet, and the remaining guard mumbled his goodnight, chilled and still spitting as if to tease. The night was somewhat still, although I knew the noise couldn't be too far away in any direction. Walking deeper into the dark paths between the buildings, I suggested we go the other way, towards the cluttered streets. He smiled and insisted it would be foolish and time-consuming to go around, promising a tiny journey to the next stop. Pulling me in close to his side, I mustered again my discomfort in the dark and quiet, with all the crimes currently going on in the streets. He promised to protect me with a chuckle and a squeeze, moving his face close to kiss my cheek. Skilled and choreographed, as if a ballroom dance. I was against the wall, him pressed against me, hands, fingers, and breath, murmuring hungry thoughts. My mind was speeding as I tried to push him away, to quiet the roaming hands that found my stomach and breasts. The mood turned from hunger to starvation, roaming hands becoming chains, pinning me aggressively by the throat and tearing at my clothes, sweet nothings becoming a nightmare wave of hate and vicious slaps, as he was going to take what he wanted. He wanted it this way. Cracks of slaps and rich blood flooded me. My muffled screams fell silently against the drops of the rain. Still and clear as crystal, my mind watched on. Enough blood, enough evidence, enough pre-cum on his pants. Yes, that's enough. As swift as the wind changed, I stopped fighting and reached for the hard item I had. A smash of a trained knee to his cock gave me a millisecond I needed to elegantly pull the knife from its holder and slit his demonic throat, splattering the wall with his red blood. Shock, fear, and something else smashed his face as he reached for his throat. They always did that. The thin, deep slice was surgical and would bleed quickly. No survivors. The life drained as he toppled, a lump on the face of the walkway. Pulling a small envelope from my bag, I wiped the blood from my face on it before placing it on his now sopping pocket. Happily, the rain stopped as I walked. I was so happy the evidence would not wash away. Stepping back into the pandemonium, I checked myself in the reflection, sprinkles on my face, but nothing that could be noticed. I vanished into the crowd and went home. The police would get a tip-off in half an hour to lead them to it. Depending on the night's events, it could be waiting a while. When the police found the body and called it in, they would find the envelope with enough evidence to prove he was the Scarlet Killer. Semen, photos of him with 4 of the women in the walkway from the scene with crimes, blood, timestamps, places they met and where he went after he raped and murdered them brutally. Open and shut case. At home, I removed the red wig, contacts, makeup, leaving me the completely hairless woman with no defining characteristics. I washed the rest of the blood out of the wig and off my black clothes before heading into the walk-in closet. Towel wrapped around me. Hidden scars of near misses and unforgettable demons crept out from under the towel. Entering the wardrobe and reaching to the back, I take the photos, schedules, personal details, phone records, everything I used to track and find him. The articles of the women he stole from the world I took down next and all went into the box. Fuel and matches, a trash bin on the balcony facing the alley. Always empty by the junkies who lay there and dreamed their drug dreams. After making a tea, the box was dropped in the can, followed by my clothes and wig. It was fueled and unceremoniously lit. The red of the fire burnt in my eyes. No one would know. No one would care soon enough. They'd just be happy they were safer. Whispered praises behind closed doors. The police would keep looking for this shadow vigilante for years, harping on that no one should take justice into their own hands, and this man would be brought to justice. Fire turned to ash and my tea turned cold. The sun rose. I went in to ice my wounds and to rest. As I turned down my bed, a newspaper was dropped at the door, causing a small thud that I both craved and it tormented me. Retrieving it and flicking it open, too early for the news of the Scarlet's demise, I tutted and shook my head. The news of a kidnapped teen screamed at me from the black and white words. Tearing out the page, I walked to the wardrobe, grabbed the blue tack, started a new tracking wall. There ain't no rest for the wicked.